Hey everybody. Well, you are almost ready to read your first poem. Before we proceed, I would like to discuss secondary lines. The reason is that secondary lines are going to be like the secondary roads that you take or a shortcut. Okay? We know about a person's personality traits, and by looking at their lines, we learn about certain qualities. Okay? But when you sit down and you start looking a little deeper, you're going to notice things that sometimes are not so pleasant. The factors that do contribute are not always good. So when you begin reading, you really want to start basic and simple, just like a beginner's lesson. Okay? The first thing you can do is just look at strangers' hands and determine which is their dominant lines. Okay? Figure out what kind of earth sign or air sign or fire sign that they are. And then go a little deeper, and maybe a little deeper and a little deeper. But when you're first doing a session, you have got to have an objective. Okay, you have a stranger in front of you, possibly, or even someone that you know, and it really is a lot like looking at someone naked. Sometimes you wish you hadn't seen things, you wish you could close your eyes and forget about them, but you can't. So you really have to use your intuitive judgment when you sit down with this person and perceive what would be considered useful information and knowledge, what is valid, and what is private, personal. Okay? If there's a room full of people, you're not going to sit there and tell them about certain habits or things that might have occurred when they were younger, whatnot. You're going to see it all. Okay? Basically, like I said, they're going to be naked. There is no hiding. And once you see it, you can't go back. So what I do is I keep it very general, and I look for certain qualities and characteristics in a person. Examples. How much does a person worry? Okay? You're going to see that in these lines in their thumb. They could be long. That's something that they worry about, things that are actually important. Some people have a lot of tiny little lines there, and you could tell that they never sleep because they are up all night worrying about everything and everyone. That is something that you would want to encourage someone to have a little bit more faith and be positive and stop worrying so much, basically. I also look for how independent someone is, and you can tell that by the heart line if it reaches up. Okay? But the secondary line is going to tell you also is how did they become an independent person? Were they forced that way? Did they have to cook clean for themselves when they were young? They had absent parents. A lot of contributing factors again. Also, sometimes people aren't so independent. They like having groups of people around, a lot of support. Capricorns are like that. They are very popular and enjoy their friends. What else do I look for? How compassionate is someone? The area of the thumb. It's called a mount, and it can be either squishy or very flat, like a valley, or it could rise up like a mountain. Okay? If it is flat, it tells you that that person is a little bit more self-centered. And if it is round and squishy, it tells you basically like their heart is big and squishy. They are very compassionate and sensitive people. Okay? So these are secondary lines that, again, you need to use intuitive interpretation. What is valid and what can be, I don't know, discarded, I guess. If someone that you see has a lot of inner turmoil, then you want to address that and ask them about it. Either they'll validate it or they're going to look at you like, I don't know, you know? And so you'll have to dig a little bit deeper. But these secondary lines that will intersect with each other are all going to be just as important as the major lines as you go along. They are like secondary roads on a map. There are shortcuts, there are detours, etc. So have your intention set, be objective, and know what intuitive interpretation is all about. Okay? Be very careful when you're reading someone's hands. You never know what you're going to find. Okay? So we'll go from there next time. Sorry for the bad lighting. And again, another secondary line that we have is a fate line. And it's not exactly significant unless you have it. Sorry, little palm reading joke there for you. But fate line is someone who's strongly driven by external forces. And someone without the fate line is going to be someone who makes their own path. Okay? There are big differences that we have to look for. You've already identified most of them, and you could probably continue on and do a 5-minute freak out if you wanted to. And it doesn't hurt to look at even a stranger's hands and just see if you can identify their major lines. If you can notice or recognize anything that we've talked about or discussed so far that you've heard or learned. Okay? So good luck. And again, highest intentions all the time, right? We're not diving in, digging for dirt. It is meant to encourage, inspire, and uplift. My best to you. We'll see you next time. Thanks.